Yes, welcome back to twofratboys.com. Let's go.
So I'm Jesus Diaz and joined by,
Anthony Aldano.
to frame this up, we are two entrepreneurs who met a long time ago and started a company that ended up getting acquired. And this podcast is about our story and how we kind of built up a brand, built up a couple of brands, and grew a business. So today we're going to roll back to 2004, where we last left off for those who are following the series. And Anthony, do you want to set up kind of where we are today?
Absolutely. So before we even get into that, I just want to compliment myself on my new production ambiance that I have going on here. A friend of mine suggested that I use my phone to record, and the quality is like a billion times better. So for anyone who has watched every episode, I want to apologize for the pixelation that's happening in all of on my little cube on these, and it looks really bad. And a friend had said, "Man, do it on your phone." So I'm doing it for the first time on my phone. I got better lighting, so it's looking more official every episode. So we want everyone that's listening to continue to subscribe, listen, share to your sisters and brothers in the fraternity and sorority life. By the way, a fun fact, on our YouTube page of Two Frat Boys, the number one search, so that, you can check like search keywords, and people will stumble upon this podcast by searching Alpha Phi Alpha, Stroll, Rutgers University for some reason is a keyword search, sorority stroll, Greek stroll, and stroll like an alpha. So
Wow.
it's either stroll or step like an alpha. So that's interesting thing, right? That people kind of search and then they stumble upon Two Frat Boys. All right, let's get back to business. So we are at 2004, and it's our second time back in Albany, New York, bringing our phenomenal step show, LatinoStep.com. So this was basically April 24th in 2004 at the Egg Theater, which is a beautiful, beautiful facility in Albany, New York. I don't have pictures. I don't know if Jesus can Google or share a nice picture of the. So basically, the structure and the shape of the building is in the shape of an egg, like a sphere. Really cool. And the inside, actually, it's a beautiful. It's phenomenal. Like quality wise, the acoustics. I remember the acoustics of the theater we were in when you were on stage was amazing as well. And then maybe Jesus can show us the flyer that we used for the show, which is in our Google Doc, which he is sharing right now. And boom, there it is. Latino Step, Saturday, April 24th at the Egg. So the stepper on the left of the screen is Beta Kappa Psi fraternity brother, which I apologize that I do not know his name. He was one of the original people with Ode Hoppie, the step master that we always saw him at the shows. And then to the right is a young lady from Chi Upsilon Sigma. Upsilon or Upsilon, I always forget. And what's her name, Jesus? I know you remember her name.
Yeah, that was Christina Colon.
Yes, Christina Colon. So that was our cool flyer. So this show was great. Again, so it was co-sponsored by the Ada chapter of La Unidad Latina, Lambda, Upsilon, Lambda Fraternity. Empire State Plaza, Albany, New York. Doors were at 7:30. The show was at 8. There was an after party sponsored by the U.S. Army in conjunction with Sigma Lambda Upsilon, the Mu chapter, Omega Phi Beta, Alpha chapter, Lambda Pi Chi, Gamma chapter, and Sigma Iota Alpha chapter, which I'm pretty sure they were all the chapters from Albany, right, Jesus? Probably, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So here were the confirmed participants: Beta Kappa Psi, Lambda Tau Omega, Omega Phi Beta, Sigma Lambda Upsilon, Lambda Pi Chi, Beta Kappa Psi, and Lambda Upsilon Lambda. So the Lambda Upsilon Lambda team, that step was the New England step team, which leads me to believe that I guess the national LUL team had prior commitments, or they were, had other things, or weren't able. Do you remember Jesus way specifically?
Yeah.
You may have not.
This is never confirmed, but I strongly believe there was a lot of unsaid detail there, like between us and the team.
Well, let's say it. Let's say it now. Let's put it out in the open. Let's shed some light on this.
Yeah. So remember, for those of you who listened to our last episode, in 2003, LUL did not qualify for the championship, and so we had a prior winners clause that allowed other teams from the year before to come back, but the LUL team who didn't win before, hadn't qualified before, were I think less than tickle pink with us in terms of, we're their brothers and we're not letting them perform in a show, but we had to have some standard, and so I think that because of that friction between us and them in 03, then in 04 they weren't as willing to just kind of jump right back in.
And this is how seriously we took our business, that even though they were fraternity brothers, and even though we wanted them to win every show we ever produced, always, we couldn't find a way around it to let them participate without having major backlash and a major, political crisis on our hands, which we do end up having them in Chicago when a certain sorority of Midwest fame wants to boycott our shows, which was crazy back then. And I think initially, I know we're on a tangent here, I think initially when I heard that they were boycotting, I think I laughed out loud, or I think I scoffed at it the same way I scoffed at that when I got served with paperwork for that douchebag promoter, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Anyway, so that I don't really remember that, but you're saying that was legitimately the reason.
Well, I mean, the other possibility is that they just didn't.
Who was the LUL leader at that time of the step team?
So it was a transitional period, because if you'll recall, the team that had originally been founded by several brothers, including myself, and Alfred Vallejo had taken over pretty much the team, and his brother Henry as well, and Jason Rosario was a big part of the team. They were transitioning to Andre Marrero, Andres Marrero, and then a couple of the younger cats from St. John's. I forget all their names, but I know
therein lie where the issue was, I guess. Yeah.
So but Anthony, and for the listeners, just to clarify, I think that it's possible that they just didn't have a team together for this show. It's also a possibility. Right. So but I sense more of the original idea that we were
Okay, so to continue, sorry about that. Let me mute my participants again. 4. So we had LUL, the New England Step team. The winners of the event were, in order, Beta Kappa Psi, 2 years straight. And Jesus wrote, "Best believe it, best believe it." So yeah, these guys again, Beta Kappa Psi, man. I was trying to freaking find some. My studio, quote unquote, location where I'm filming, I don't have internet access, so I cannot pull up a Beta Kappa Psi video. But we did show Beta Kappa Psi, not that specific one from our show, because again, we were doing it in 2004, so YouTube wasn't around, and I'm sure someone has it on a VHS tape somewhere, and we have it somewhere. We should really. So again, the Beta Kappa team, it was like 2 guys, maybe 3. The most they ever had was like 3, but they would fucking step the shit out of a performance and like win shows, man. They were fucking amazing. That the prior episodes where we do show videos of them, it's like legit amazing stuff. So yeah, Beta Kappa Psi wins it 2 years in a row at Albany. Lambda Sigma Upsilon, their national step team, wins 2nd, and then Lambda Upsilon Lambda New England team wins 3rd, which makes sense. Beta Kappa Sigma, which I don't even remember that sorority. Was that their sisters?
Yep.
Wow, crazy. All right, they win first. I don't even remember at all any of them, their performance. Lambda Pi Chi won second. Lambda Tau Omega won third, which them girls were not happy, I'm sure, with that with those results. And then again, we have the rule. I don't know if it makes sense to read some of the rules, Jesus, or should we just
No, I
keep
mean,
going?
let me just do a quick scan. I think we were again constantly evolving the show. Some of the changes we made were I'm looking here. This is the show we did. 60% must be stepping, because we started to see that there was a lot of
Right.
skits and nonsense.
And also we have in here no replication of NPHC black signature steps, which is again, it's also a difficult thing to,
enforce.
monitor. Yeah, I remember there was someone had I don't remember what show it was, but I remember someone was accusing someone of doing like a signature or whatever. And I remember you breaking it down and like figuring out that it wasn't a signature step because they changed it up in some way. Shit, do you remember that?
Yeah.
What show or?
Yeah, I don't remember the specs, but I know we consulted. It wasn't just us looking at a video and saying, "Oh yeah, that does look different."
You consulted with it was an Alpha Phi Alpha, right?
Yes, exactly.
And he said no, it's not.
Yeah, he was just like, "Nah." That he said it's close, but it's not anywhere near.
He said
it's not.
that shit was garbage. That's not even they can't compete.
It was one of those. If people remember the Vanilla Ice, like where they said he stole the beat, the ding 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 ding,
Yeah,
and his beat was slightly different. It was one of those kind of like details.
That's funny.
But yeah, we don't have to cover the rules here, because that was the biggest one we added in.
Okay. All right. So again, we other things I'm seeing here is like no props. Like I remember that used to be a big thing. People used to bring these really complicated prop situation, and it put other teams at a disadvantage, right? It's the teams that didn't show, they just showed up with themselves and no props. It made them look like it was a lesser show, but that could be an illusion. Like, like the teams with props can make the illusion like it's a phenomenal show, but all they're doing is waving, sticks on fire or tiki torches or something, right?
Yeah, distracting the crowd from
right. Like doing one of these, but then like it's right here, but like you're going doing all this. Yeah. So okay. So then 60%. Yeah. Again, but every time I read these rules, it just brings back such bad, terrible memories from. I hated everything about even. All right. So we move on.
Yeah. Let's get into the show of shows.
Yeah. So now 2004 June, Puerto Rican Day Parade weekend was the weekend that we always did our shows, and then we have the champs from Silk 2, Chi Upsilon Sigma, which they were, to be honest, they were just a team that came out of nowhere at a left field. They just formed themselves. They were all friends. They all went to Lemoyne College, I believe, Lemoyne College in New York.
And Syracuse.
They were girlfriend. Yes, and Syracuse. And they just got together and wanted to do a show. So as Susie's showing here in the top left screen, the girls, there was 4 of them. It was Diana Arias. Now I'm forgetting.
Fanny was
Fania Taveras. What else? Diana
Heredia.
Diddy.
Yep,
Diana Heredia. And I'm not remembering the last one.
She's gonna kill us. Who is the?
Yeah.
So I know her face and I just can't remember.
Right, I know her face too. So forgive us to the 4th, and their team name was 7, and that was out of I guess respect for the 7 founders of their sorority, of their organization. So that was great. And then we had the champs of LSU, for Lambda Sigma Upsilon. So how were they the champ? So Silk 2 wasn't a competition, you were saying, though.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. These are aftershots from the actual event. So this is after they took place. But yeah, you're right. There were no champs at this point.
Oh, okay. So these pictures are from the actual Silk 3. Got it. Okay. So yeah, and then we'll move down. So basically this is like our show of shows. This, again, we were still doing stepping and stroll shows, which in retrospect was really crazy to put that much pressure on teams, but it's just, it was just a natural evolution that we started with our step shows, which was like our bread and butter at the time. And then strolling happens for us, and strolling kind of is easier and becomes bigger than the stepping, but we had these step shows to do as well. So as Jesus is showing us now, the Silk 3, and did Al do this flyer, or
Yeah.
I feel like this is a flyer like I could have done this flyer. Are you sure I didn't do this flyer?
You were working with him on it, but I know he definitely was putting it together.
Right.
Like you chose the imagery, because we both thought Victoria from SLU, when she got on the stage, she was just electrifying. Like, like just going past, the looks part of it, like she was just a dynamic stroller.
Can you scroll up to see? You really can't see her. So she is the girl. Yeah, point with the mountain. There you. Oh, okay. I couldn't see it on my screen. Maybe I have to do. Yeah, scroll up a little more. So maybe, so basically that's, Victoria. She was one of the performers on SLU, and we used her on the flyer for Silk 3, right? And so basically this is one of our main shows, and so the people performing in this show we don't have the list of performers, right, Jesus?
I don't see them here, but we had, as I recall, we had about 12 or 13 teams. It was a big show.
So Jesus and I concocted in our minds, because that's a lot of the times what we did when we were promoting so we were doing a lot of these shows, and for us, the fun part was promoting the show. Like, let's do something funny, or everyone was hating on another organization is something very normal back then in the Greek world. So we chose to play "Hate Me Now" by Nas on our website. So every time you went to the page of this stroll show, it would just auto load and auto play. Then can you play it for us, Jesus? The
hold on. Let me get.
And then it goes. And then it goes, is that Jay-Z saying that, or is that not?
Diddy.
Oh, wow. I can't hear it. You turned it off?
No, it's not coming through so well from my
phone. Got it. Anyway, so we love, somehow in our mind, Jesus and I in our minds concocted, like, everyone was hating on, I guess, I don't know, LSU, right? Because they had one before. Or
no, it wasn't. There was a lot of guest book hate. I think that's where the origins of what we were sensing was happening. Like, people were just going haywire on an anonymous guest book, posting all types of.
If you ever want to know the truth about anything, make it an ability to post anonymously. You will get all the truth, too much truth that you can't handle it.
There were more burner accounts on our guest book than anywhere ever in our history, in the history of humanity.
Yes. So, all right. So we go to Learner Auditorium. The line again is bananas. We must have had, again, I'll say around 900 people. And the winner and the undisputed, which we didn't know that they were going to go on a eight show undefeated spree. Was that the count?
It was like 8 years.
LSU, 8 years.
Yeah, they never lost.
That's crazy. And yeah, when you say they never lost, I thought that was kind of odd, but they didn't compete in every show, but when they did compete, they never lost. So kudos to them, man. They're still undefeated. So LSU wins first, LUL won second, LAU won third. Cuz again, this was this their first
the 17
win, like big win?
Mm-hmm.
I think I wasn't even at this show. I think I was in a wedding in Rhode Island. Do you remember that?
You weren't there? Yeah,
Nah.
you're right. If it wasn't this show, it was the next one. So, no, so you
No,
were
it
at
was it
Silk 4. Yeah, yeah. So it's
was this one.
holy cow, I forgot about that. That's right. And then I think Dave and Frank were running the door while I was backstage with the teams. Oh wow.
Yeah. So this was my big baby, and my best friend was getting one of my best friends was getting married that same fucking day, and like I had to make tough decisions, man. And unfortunately, I couldn't go, but I was like, I wanted to be there. It meant a lot for me to be there, but I couldn't. But I had heard afterwards who won, and do you remember anything? So now you can give
Yeah,
us maybe that perspective of what
for
was
sure.
happening for you that day.
For sure. So this show was, when I call it the show of shows, is because I feel like we had already built something, and now, bringing credibility to like a competition, a real stroll competition with real rules, like that was something that we were introducing this time around. As you mentioned, Anthony, we had no idea that LSU was going to become what they became. And so that team, which was led by Romeo,
Your boy.
Edgardo Perez, I forget his nickname, but he was also on the team. Um, and wow, those guys are going to kill me because I knew all of them and I can't remember names right now. Um,
I
but
have the
that's,
flyer here for Silk 5, but we're not
yeah,
there yet. But
exactly. But that team, really came out and they destroyed the competition. I mean,
and
them and
here's
LUL.
a picture of their star performer. I don't know if that's a good angle.
Yeah, we could see it. But essentially they were going round for round with LUL. Like it was them and LUL, them and LUL. And it was just like what I recall happening, and this might have altered history forever, but LUL used their best stroll in round 2 so that they can get to round 3. But
Right.
by the time they got to round 3,
They had nothing left.
they had a good stroll still, but it wasn't at the level. LSU kind of kept getting better and better. Like they put their best
They
stroll,
kicked it up a notch.
yeah. So that strategy that they used, it was an intentional strategy to build up instead of like just getting to their round.
Did you confirm that with them? Like you spoke with afterwards and confirmed it?
Yeah,
Got it.
they made it clear that they were
So
going.
LSU had them so nervous that had LUL so nervous that LUL was like, "Damn, we're gonna have to probably use our number one stroll in the second round."
Yeah, yeah. They wanted to just get to that last round because they knew that anything could happen. But as I mentioned, LSU just kept getting better and better with each stroll, and their team was so in sync. Like one funny story backstage, as I recall, now I'm remembering. There, this is before they were fully undefeated. This is
Right.
before they even had the ability to be like a diva team, if you will. But I remember Diana Romagera was the showrunner for me at the event.
Okay.
And I said, Diana, go get me LSU. They're on next. And so like Diana goes to the back area of Columbia, tells LSU to show up. She comes back and I'm like, where are they? They're still not here. And she's like, yeah, they said they needed some time to get, I don't know, brothers getting dressed or something was happening backstage. And I said, Diana, if they're not here in 2 minutes, tell them they're eliminated. Like we can't run a show like that. And and and
Wow.
and I did that. I was channeling you. I was just like, what the hell would Anthony do? Because this was the first show
Nice.
I was gonna be in charge of.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I was just like, oh shit. I was looking at Diana straight up and I was like, what do we do? And then I was just like, just tell them, look, if they're not going to come, they're eliminated. And then within 2 minutes, the whole squad was on stage, and there was a guy getting dressed who is still not dressed, but yeah, it was one of my finer moments that I think let them know we weren't your ordinary stroll show.
Yeah, you saying that reminds me too. Yeah, all the times I was backstage, it's like there's different types of pressure that like I have a different type of pressure. I'm in charge of this entire fucking show. You have pressure too. You're performing, but like we need to meet halfway. Like I need you to be here at a certain time, and then they're like Some teams were very lackadaisical. Some teams would just get lost. I don't know if it was usually guys that would get lost. Women were usually more on point, but sometimes they were away, like getting changed in like maybe a private area. They needed like, privacy. So
Yeah.
but yeah, to your point, anything else you remember?
Yeah, no, and also piggybacking on what you just said, like when Diana was running the teams, like I had like 4 sororities lined up, like back to back, like all the teams
Right.
that had to go in sequence, like the sororities were on point. They were doing their thing, they were online, they were waiting. And
That's what I learned over time when I was running these shows, that you needed to have like 3 or 4 teams ready to go, right? Because you can't wait for someone to leave then to go get the next team, because that fucks up the flow.
yeah. And then sometimes if you don't have a good MC who can stall and get you some time, then yeah, you're totally screwed. But yeah, so the other thing I remember, I distinctly remember the Cuz team, because they were dressed differently. Like they had strong coordination in
They change outfits each stroll, I think I remember, right?
yeah, and hairstyles too. Like they would, frizz, like the frizz would come out, like the frizzy hair.
I remember that.
And the thing I remember about them the most, obviously, so Diana Heredia, who was on the team, she's high fashion, and she had that team looking pristine. But their synchronization, they kept their team small to like 4 people because they wanted to make sure that everybody was, offering value. Like sometimes teams were longer and 7 or 8 people, they didn't make the cuts. So, one person, any person could easily mess up the whole stroll by kind of being off. But these girls had a strategy, had a look, and years later we saw other teams then trying to kind of like emulate what they were doing because it was so successful.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, after that show, like I think the song, the music on the pages, like that continued, the Hate Me Now. And you did make it for the after party, because I do remember you coming back, and we had dinner that night across the street at Columbia. So I do remember you got there, but I completely forgot you weren't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing we attempted here, to try to again make the show even like more different, was having the actual names of the strolls like called out by
Right.
the MC. But I don't think it worked particularly well in this show, but it's something
No.
we wanted to kind of really push forward.
Right. So again, we had a great show. It was the beginning of a very competitive stroll war between, I don't know if it's competitive, but because LUL, LSU always won, but LUL was always there, and then they just couldn't do it. So I think someone needs to bring back these shows so that we can get another rivalry going. That'd be cool. So we're moving on to the next show, which was our original, baby, the Latino Step National Championship, which was the month after, July 24th. So in this one, let's see here. So the participants are, so Jesus will show the flyer,
Okay.
which he is showing the flyer. Frats, we had LUL, Beta Kappa Psi, LSU, only 3, and sororities, Omega Phi Beta, who did this show was then when they won back to back. Sigma Lambda Upsilon number 2, and then Sigma Lambda, Chi Upsilon Sigma, which their step team, they were different. Actually, they I think they were the only ones that had like completely separate entity, right? Teams, like their step team was someone else, their stroll team was somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's actually a smart way to maneuver and to operate. You want to read the recap, Asu, since you wrote it, probably?
Well, we'll know who wrote it based on how it sounds, because you had a style, I had a style, but
That's true.
let's see. And quite possibly one of the greatest step shows ever. Okay, so that's definitely you. The brothers of
Okay.
Lambda, Uso, and Lambda took first place and put on the best performance of their lives. From the first few seconds, they stepped with explosive vigor. that startled everyone in the 1400 plus theater.
Was
LUL
this the
also,
show where they put the brown bulletproof vest?
this at Columbia? Yes. They
I
used
don't
the
remember.
vest at Columbia. It might not have been that year, but
Right, you're right.
I think they were wearing something white, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember.
Oh, that show. Yeah,
Yeah,
the white show.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was
They were
because
channeling Omega Delta Phi in their outfits.
let's see. I thought we had pictures here. Oh, well, this is after the show or before the show. This isn't anyway. Um, so yeah, a definite honorable mention goes to Beta Kappa Psi for locking in second place, nearly stealing the show with LUL with an unheard of two-man show. Oh, this is the one where there
There
was
you
only two of
go.
them.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
remember. Oh, actually, we probably talk about it here. These brothers step their heart out as usual, but also give them credit for their on-stage charisma and tight step beats. They usually step with 3 to maybe 4 the most. No one expected the two lonely souls, short on numbers but big on heart, nearly stealing the
Ooh,
show.
that sounds like you wrote this, not
No,
me.
no, that's you, brother. That was you.
Oh, okay. Sounds very too eloquent to be my words.
And certainly bringing a tear to my eye when they played the song "Just the Two of Us," which brought the audience to their feet. They
Yeah,
also
I wouldn't have wrote that. But
I
anyway.
think so, man. It doesn't. Well, let's keep going. They also received a standing ovation unheard of at most step shows. The sorority category, in an unprecedented result, Omega Phi Beta won again in consecutive years. Another exciting
Mm.
development was Sigma Lambda Upsilon, who shocked the world with their magical sitting position and steps that some said were off the effing hook. The
Mm.
Senoritas had stepped away from the scene for a minute, but sure came back with a powerful and unforgettable performance. Thanks to all the teams that poured their hearts, imaginations, and souls out to the 1,400 plus people that got their $20 worth. Until next year, buy your tickets early. And kudos to Latino Step for always running a tight ship and great shows. On behalf of all of us that exemplify true Latino unity, thanks for elevating the Latino Greek community and taking us along for the ride.
Nice. Good
It was,
job, whoever wrote that recap.
it was you and me. It was a combination because I do see stuff in there that's my trademark, and
Your
then
style.
I see your words. You always have the
Yeah.
braggadocious, the
Talking a lot of stuff ish
yeah.
words.
But
Right.
I yeah, this was a
So
good.
this ends up being our 6th annual step show. And I'm not sure if this ends up being the last of the step shows, maybe. But again, the champs are back. Yeah, Omega Phi Beta. So this also starts giving Omega Phi Beta, I remember, some like respect in the game and notoriety and like, yeah, people kind of, they were making a name for themselves, which is, some a part of what comes along with, these events that we were showcasing, these teams. And so it was great. Yeah. I'm seeing here that we started putting the stage dimension in advance so that teams could know, because that's like a really big problem, with teams not knowing spacing on the floor, especially for a step show, like where they're going to be, how much time they have, and stuff like that. So yeah, we were charging 20, which it was probably high, little high at the time, but I guess we were able to do it.
Yeah, and yeah, and as you were mentioning, Omega Phi Beta and LUL winning this show, it was a big deal because it pretty much guaranteed that next year was going to be another solid show if we could get the two winning organizations back.